So, Leeds went into the second half of September a pretty good nick. Top of the table after 7 games and playing some great stuff, free-flowing football. There were some worrying signs. Adam Forshaw had been carrying a hip joint injury since a pre-season friendly at Cagliari, but he managed to play through the first 6 games of the season. He looked really good. Far more inventive and attacking than normal. He came close to scoring his debut goal for Leeds on a number of occasions. He looked really good, making a really good contribution. After some injury struggles the previous year, we were going to miss him. He missed the victory at Barnsley, and he'd made just one further substitute appearance all season. And even worse than that, soon Pablo Hernandez would join him in the treatment room with a muscle injury, and that was serious. Now Pablo is the man, a key playmaker, a key creator, and also a good luck charm. This guy makes a difference to us psychologically as well as a number of other things. In the previous season, 2018-19, Hernandez started 37 of United's 46 games, and there was a win ratio of 62%, an average goals per game of 1.7 when he was playing. In the other 9 games, there was a win ratio of just 22%, and the average goals per game dropped to 1.1. Now you can do anything with stats, but those are telling, and they've been over a long period. He was critical to us under Bielsa, critical to the way we played. So important to us. Without him in midfield, that creativity was lacking, the confidence was lacking. We were still playing some great football, some free-flowing, attacking football, looked really confident. Now we got Harrison and Costa full-time on the flanks, and they gave us really great width. They were hugging the touchlines, really making a difference for us. We looked really exciting, really good going forward. Ben White and Cooper really solid at the back. We weren't conceding goals. But suddenly this thing with Hernandez, it made a difference. If only in the head. Now happily on the other side, both Luke Ayling and Tyler Roberts were available again for Bielsa. So he gave them some options to cover for the absences that we were going to get. They'd both been out for a long period of time. So they gave us some reinforcements to reinvigorate the squad, and Ayling in particular came back, add strength, made a real contribution, looked really good on the right hand side. But the goals dried up, and Patrick Bamford was suffering a real crisis in confidence. He scored 4 goals in the first 5 games of the season. 4 goals in the first 5 games, really good. But it will be game number 16 against Blackburn mid-November before he scored again for us. And he's a brittle player, really good contributor to the side, holds the ball up well, brings other players in, but he's not a natural goal scorer. Heading wise, he looked awful at times, trying some ridiculous things. When he's instinctive, when he just touches it, when he doesn't have to think, he's really good. But over this period he was really struggling, and it didn't look good for us. So back into action. We hosted Derby on 21st of September in a lunchtime kick-off. So that gave us the opportunity to open up a gap at the top of the table, and it was a side that we didn't like, a side that screwed us over the previous season, and we were eager to get at them, eager to sort them out, and we played really well, had 63% of the possession. We were all over them. But all we had to show for all those efforts was a single first off goal from an own goal. And in fairness, Dallas's shot would have gone in, but we had nothing else to show. We had plenty of chances. Bamford hit the post from a couple of yards out when he should have just buried it, but it's one of those instinctive moments and he didn't make it. And inevitably, you pay for that. You pay for that late on. Now Bamford had a good game, despite the misses, and he earned us a second half penalty. So we thought, here we go, 2-0, game over. But Click, who'd looked so wonderfully confident when he took a penalty at Barnsley a week earlier, overdid it this time. Did the same thing, sent the keeper the wrong way, but slipped the ball agonisingly wide of the left-hand post, just inches wide, and he had his shirt over his head in disappointment. He should be he should be disappointed with what he did there. Fluffed a golden opportunity, and we were made to rue all those missed chances. So Derby equalised in the first minute of injury time with their only shot on target of the entire game. Disastrous. Disastrous. But you could see it coming. And there was even worse to come a week later at Charlton. Went down there without Hernandez. We lost to a single goal. 71% possession. Host of chances, but we could do nothing about it. And we conceded a scrappy goal from a corner, not for the first time. We're not good at defending corners. Weren't throughout Bielsa's time, and it's astonishing for a man who really goes to town in terms of reviewing things, coaching players. It's astonishing that we are no good at corners at either end. Now, a win would have kept us top, but we ended the day fourth and in dismal mood. And after the game, there were reports that the goalkeeper, Kiko Casilla, racially abused a Charlton player, Jonathan Lecco. Didn't think that much of it at the time, but it would come back to haunt us later in the year. So we'd slumped here, slumped badly after a really good start. And we had a massive clash next against table toppers West Brom, first day of October. And in fairness, they outplayed us, they hammered us. But we came through a really difficult game. We played well enough, but it was just that West Brom were better. And we won the game courtesy of another own goal, this time from Carl Bartley. And if he hadn't touched Alioski's shot, it was going wide, it wouldn't have gone in without the touch, and Bamford, who was following him, would have been offside. So really lucky that we got that goal, really lucky. And it was very clear that we weren't the side that we had been without Hernandez and Forshaw. And we suffered the London curse again at the weekend, losing to Millwall just before the international break, the last time, the one that psychologically does you. There was a distinctly dodgy penalty first half given for a dive by Tom Bradshaw, and worse yet, Gaetano Berardi, deputising for the injured Leon Cooper, was wronged badly. Should never have been a penalty, should never have been a penalty. Worse still, he was sent off. Now that's harsh anyway for this, but the red card was later rescinded. Much good did it do us. But West Brom scored that goal and scored again later. We were back in it at the start of the second half, within seconds of the start, but we couldn't do it. And in fairness, we looked poor on the day. We always tend to struggle against Millwall for some reason. We were rarely threatening, not as good as we should have. So we'd had a really dodgy time of it. And we were starting to feel the pain. We were starting to worry about going into free fall. That was the third defeat of the season, and we were suddenly down to fifth, just before the break. Bielsa had to do something to get us back on track. And we came back a fortnight later for a massive afternoon at Elland Road. Massive afternoon. This was celebrating the club's centenary, 100 years since we were formed. And we had a big homecoming, a big game at Elland Road, lots of pre-game celebrations. Mood was really up. We were looking forward to a goal fest, a wonderful game, but we needed the points badly. We struggled to an extent. We played all right, but we struggled. And they could have easily scored a few. We looked promising on the left, really good on the left, some of the efforts that were going in. But we had to wait till the second half for the goal. And how fitting was it that Leeds lad, Kalvin Phillips, did the business. Harrison dispossessed the guy on the left, set up the track. In came Phillips, stroking it home. Look at the celebrations, wonderful. There was no champagne football that day, but there were points in the bag, and that was important for us. So we were still badly missing Hernandez, and then we had two really disappointing draws. Both away to promotion rivals, Preston and Sheffield Wednesday. They were on their tails. In fact, you'd got both of these in the top four, looking worrying, and Preston were above us by the end of it. So we couldn't wait for a man Hernandez to come back to get us back on track. And neither could Bielsa, who acknowledged that we were struggling in front of goal. less efficient in that area than previously described as, but we were struggling in front of goal. Bamford, confident shot. Nketiah, looking good when he came on. A couple of games where Nketiah and Bamford played together, and the fans were desperate for Bielsa to play both men, but he was probably right in that it would have weakened us in midfield. With two men on the flanks, you can only really play one in the centre, and it didn't balance us. Nketiah looked really good goal scorer, came on, did the things that Bamford couldn't. Really good when he came on later in the games, when there was space to be had, when Bamford had tired them out. Good player, decent player. But recognise where we got to now. We've just gone through 7 games with only 2 wins to show for it. Confidence was shot. Were we going to do it again? The things were brittle. We were brittle after the previous season, and the story that Bielsa teams always fall away. It was important. They were up at the top. Essential. But you look at these things coolly, get it some perspective. We were still 3rd after 14 games, a third of the season gone, just a couple of points behind Leeds West Brom, and now some inviting fixtures to come as we ran through to Christmas. This could still be a year. This must be a year. So we were feeling good. We were feeling good despite all that. Confidence shot. Win taken out for sales. No goal scorer. Key man, playmaker missing. We're about to come back. About to come back. And time would tell whether it would be fatal, some of these things that happened to us. However, we moved on. We moved on. Still 3rd. In the running. Where we needed to be. We should have been higher. Outplayed most of the sides. Had a stumble. But ready to move on.